The Marvel Cinematic Universe seems to have a lot of haters. Welcome back. As always, I have to give you a reminder. Go follow me over at Twitter for all updates, because you know Google, they throw out on my videos. You may never see it, but you can at least stay up to date over at Eric D. July. That is my Twitter handle. Again, that's Eric D. July. You can also visit www.ericdjuly.com for more information. That is indeed my website. You can get updated on all of my podcasts and so forth. So go visit that. Today we are going to be discussing some recent comments by way of some directors. A lot of directors seem to be coming out against what's going down with not just Marvel, but superhero films altogether. Now, I have my gripes with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it doesn't really stem from what these guys are talking about. Recently, Martin Scorsese, he had his bit to say about the entire idea of these superhero films. Francis Ford Coppola, just so many different people have expressed this idea that maybe this isn't the quality or the standard when it comes to legitimate, good film and such. So a lot of people are gonna have their gripes in that regards. Now, I think a lot of this stems from jealousy. If I can be completely honest, that's the obvious thing. Back in the gap when superhero films were not as prominent, it was like they kept them at bay. They had their budgets, high budget films. They had their own personal artistic work, and it just was not ever appreciated as much as the superhero films back in the gap. But now we have a situation where a lot of people are loving these people. We got a new generation of people that are, loving these films and these adaptations of a lot of these comic book characters. So that indeed becomes a threat when you consider that some of these films are the highest grossing films of all time, when you consider the Marvel Cinematic Universe, some of the movies that they've dropped. So now it's a threat to their branding. There's a threat to their artistry. It's almost like they've gotten sedity. It's like, no, we don't do those. We don't do those comic book films. My art is a lot more in depth, a lot more thoughtful. And those are just those little popcorn flicks. And in some cases, that may very well be the case. It's not as maybe artistic as some of the other films, but that doesn't mean they can't be good in their own respects. And this is why I personally believe that it does come from that side of jealousy, because this could be anybody. I don't think if it was just because some of the guys are saying that they're more so encompassing all different superhero films, not just the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Marvel Cinematic Universe's leading. And even if it wasn't the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have something else to gripe about, considering that their overall issue is with the films and superhero films as well. And for years, these guys have been, certainly with the rise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've been on the side of, well, people are going to get fatigued at some point. This is going to die off. And it doesn't seem to be going that route. It seems to be going up and up. So again, it comes from a place of jealousy, like, no. What in the world is going on? And they're trying to speak these things into existence. I believe Steven Spielberg even had some things to say about superhero films back in the gap. And that was like 5 years ago, and still they haven't gone anywhere. They're grown, they're becoming more highly anticipated. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have my issues with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you watch these videos over on this channel, I've talked about this more than numerous occasions about my issues, and a lot of it stems from the weird adaptations of some classic characters that I've grown to love. So they put out a film or they promote a film, and I'm like, dude, y'all gotta check this out. This character, I love this character. This character is awesome. I tell these people about the character, and then the adaptation is just some cornball sort of, not even a shell of them characters. And then you have all the normies that say, oh, this is a different universe, so forth and so forth. Now that sort of is my frustration. I don't have that anticipation that it has to be exactly like the comic books, but I do think the source material at least needs to be respected. But these guys seem to be coming from a different side of things. They just don't think that superhero films are as artistic, as thoughtful as some of their own films. And maybe in some aspects, they may be correct. So when you think of the fact that, all right, well, I do all of this, thinking, writing scripts and so forth, writing movie ideas, and I try to make those play out obviously on screen. And then you got these guys that come along, got a bunch of CGI and stuff shooting around the screen, dialogue maybe cheesy on occasion, and everybody loves it. You can imagine that they probably feel that they put a lot of work into it, and it just is going to go underappreciated with the rise of these superhero films. And that to me seems to be more so what they're coming from. It's not from the criticisms like guys like myself maybe have. So I think you're going to continue to see directors and so forth, certainly because these guys, these comic book based films and superhero films are starting to rise in terms of people not only just being in anticipation for the film's release, but they're asking for them, they're expecting them. And Marvel isn't letting up. You have Disney Plus, so you're going to see more movies, you're going to see more TV shows based on these characters, so they're going to be all over the place. I think you're just going to have a lot of people frustrated in that regard, certainly if they're seeing success. If they weren't seeing success, they wouldn't be saying all of the things that they're saying. You wouldn't see these people that have maybe produced some great art when it comes to film, great films over the years. They wouldn't be frustrated if they didn't see it as a threat, but now they see it as a threat. A lot of people are loving these films, and now they're like, well, wait a minute, this isn't right. Those guys aren't really as good as you think they are. We need to get rid of these and so forth. So just depends on what your style is. Me, of course, I welcome all the comic book movies because I want to see the comic book movies. I love that we're in a situation to where a lot of the characters that I grew up knowing and loving are now crossing over into live action adaptations. Now, not all of them are good. Not all of them are going to be good, but I do love the idea that there are people with higher budgets that are able to make some of these characters come to life.